Good afternoon, people and YouTube land. Hope everyone is good and well. This is Wolf Den episode 10, and I'm lucky to have with me Tony EarlyDoors TV. Let's do the intro, then let's roll. I need to edit that because it cuts the song out a bit too early, I think. How are you, sir? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, mate.
How was your day?
Yeah, it's been good, mate. Thanks for inviting me on as well. It's a privilege to be in here. And yeah, it's been a good day so far. Can't complain.
Likewise, when you had me on last week. Now, obviously, we'll get into it. Like, tell me something, Tony. Like, as a youngster, what's your first memories about football? What comes to mind? What's the earliest you can remember?
I suppose hearing the noise from Upton Park, because literally it was like 10 minutes from my house. Of course, depending which way the wind was blowing, you could hear the crowd, and you felt like you was actually part of it at that stage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course, because obviously it's all local lads, isn't it, around the local team.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny. Like, could you do what they used to do at Highbury? Could you stand somewhere and look over like the gantry and look into the pitch?
If you went on them block of flats at Priory Road and you managed to get up to the roof, then you can look. You can see so far. Yeah.
Because I'm not being funny. That's the thing. Like with all these like kind of like with the Arsenals and the West Hams and the Leyton Orients back in the day, if you used to be able to get into a decent tower block and look over the side of it, you could see the game for free. So it was great. And even I've done that. So but yeah. So you heard the tap. Like, say what? Okay, because obviously you were too young to go. So what was the feeling you used to get when you used to hear the roars? Because obviously you would hear everything. You would hear the cheers for the goal. You would hear the boos. You would hear all that kind of thing. So, like, what was it like for you as the young man? Do tell.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, first of all, you didn't know what it was until, of course, like family or friends would tell you, "Oh, yeah, that's West Ham, the football club just down the road here," and that, And when you're hearing the cheers and that, we're doing all right then at that stage. Of course, when you hear the boos and that, in case of they've scored against us, or it's just a case of we're not doing good at the moment.
It might be the ref. You never know. You
never
know.
You didn't hear at that early age that kind of referees that
a wanker. Yeah. Oh, trust me. The amount of football. If the one person I can say that gets it the most is, other than the players, is probably the referee. So tell me something. Okay, you're a young man. You've just literally you hear the noise at Upton Park. What first got you into football? Like you as yourself.
I kind of came into football at a later age. I came into football really because I had two left feet, put it this way. But I came into football when I was around about 18.
Mm-hmm.
And that was actually managing a youth team. So that's where it came into that for me.
Mm-hmm. So how much more, because obviously you were involved in football properly. So just from the fans' perspective, because obviously you would have been a fan a lot younger than before you were actually physically involved in it. So tell me about your birthings as a fan. Thank you, Donna, by the way. Like and subscribe to EarlyDoors, please, because obviously he's a good man, and there is his link for his channel. I'm sure he's streaming it to his, so please have a look, have a gander, and subs to him, please, and thank you, Donna, for that. Big up to yourself. So yeah, sorry, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. So yeah,
no, it's fine. I mean, this is when you start, when you've kind of got your first experiences of rivalry, where you got certain people supporting, the Arsenals and Spurs, and then you get the early age banter, you only support West Ham, so yeah, you're shite, basically,
Yeah, I've had that as a Chelsea fan, particularly in the early years. You're just shite,
Yeah.
But yeah, so as a fan, what's your earliest memories? Can you tell me? Can you remember?
Earliest memories, I think it was obviously 1980 when we won the cup. Good afternoon, usual suspect. When obviously we won the cup against Arsenal, and my mum taking me up to East Ham Town Hall to watch the parade outside Barking Road, and being perched
Oh
up
yeah,
on.
of course, yeah, the trophy celebration and the old coach trips around the town.
Yeah, so there's a bit where I think we was 1 minute I was on the fence, then I think I was on a pillar box, so I can just about see above the the crowd to see all these the players on the top bus. So yeah, it was good to see all that.
He is good looking, Donna. That's why I got him on here. It's because it's like you get bored of looking at this fresh face, so you had to look at his. Yeah. So tell me, what was that like then for you as a youngster? Open bus parade. Like they've just won. What did they win in the 80s? In the 80 season.
Not much. It was the FA Cup.
Oh, come on.
Look, I mean, the best way I did. Let me just change that, because it makes it easier. I did this on Sunday with Jez, and Anthony Herbert picks it up. That kind of makes it a bit more clearer.
All right. Well, okay. What makes it more clear? The fact that you were a fan and you were enjoying it. The fact that it got your hunger going for it. Like, what for you?
Yeah, that kind of a bit of both. I'd say in that respect, it was to be involved in all the noise and wondering what was going on as a youngster, and then you're seeing all the crowds cheering.
Wait! I've just seen what's spawned up behind. Is that teletext?
Yeah. CFAX, mate. That's not teletext.
Wow. Oh yeah, CFAX. I can see it in the corner.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! Like, this is analog age, people. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I apologize.
No.
Sorry.
But yeah, it was that. You were seeing that, and of course, you're watching like grandstand and stuff like that, and you're watching the highlights because you didn't see it for real, but you could see that, and not at that early age, I suppose you weren't kind of too much into the gist of what's this all about, like but when you're seeing the people celebrating, and then you're up at the high street and you're watching it all around you, and you're seeing all this, and you're kind of looking around and wondering what's going on, and of course then being lifted above all these adults, and there you are seeing this bus going past with all these players, and that cup being held in their hands.
Well, let me ask you: when you were held up and you were looking above everyone's shoulders, what exactly did you see? Tell me from your point of view, as a child, because obviously you're a child at this point, so it's not just a team.
Yeah, you're seeing all different forms of life, walks of life, being there. And then, of course, then you're seeing, you're wondering what's it all about. And then you see the coach coming along with the players and the music being played around, and then you kind of realise you're being part of this. You feel a little bit of tingling feeling, that kind of the hairs on your back going up because it feels like you're part of something.
It's almost kind of like carnival feeling, isn't it? It's like
It's because normally it's just a case of you walk along the street and that's it, isn't it? And then back in them days, but being involved in something like that, it was completely different.
Like, describe it to me. What's differences then compared to now?
Well, put it this way. I mean, obviously, going to Stratford, we won the Europa Conference, and it was deciding, where do we go? Do we go Upton Park first of all? Do we go towards Plaistow?
Go towards the bus station. Go on the bus station.
Yeah. Or you go to Stratford, you know what I mean? And of course, the world and his wife are doing exactly the same. You're having the same thought process. And, you've got the music playing around. You've got, you're seeing bubbles being blown into the air. People sitting on the bus stand itself, waiting for these all go. You can see the stage set ready for by the town hall. Everyone, big up a Green Matata. Seeing everything's going on, the music ready to go, and people sitting standing on rooftops. Steve Baldy.
Let's have Ademir or Anthony, one of the two.
Yeah, I heard it. It captured your face, brilliant. Yeah.
Just for everyone's like, no, that's my sex face. No, I'm joking. So through Stratford. Yep, sorry.
Yeah, so when you look at something like, and of course, then you're hearing, and then you've got the DJ saying, they're just coming through Plaistow now, so they should be in about 5-10 minutes, kind of thing. We'll be able to see them. Yeah, you get ready, and of course, then the music playing over again, and of course, when you realise now they're only around the corner, and the coach has stopped, or the bus has stopped short of the stage, and now they're coming up and they're walking up the stairs, and then of course the music then starts kicking in, and then you start seeing the players bouncing around with this cup in their hand. So yeah, it was good. That was great. So remembering back in 1980, then coming to this, it was levels difference in that respects.
Yeah, it is. It is. It was a lot more of a community-based thing back then.
Yeah,
it was.
yeah. And then, of course, when you're seeing like the highlights, like the next day, you see that the road was swamped with people, and that bus trying to come through from Plaistow to Stratford, and how long it took them to get there. That just shows you the difference it made.
Very true. Is Mr. Simon? Is your guessing? I don't think so. As far as I know, because as far as I know, he obviously he's an older chap and he's been around the block, not in a bad way, but in the footballing block.
The wrinkle show that much.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, not really. You know, I mean, just dye that beard and you'll be all right, mate. You can pass off for 22. Mr. Wolf, just Wolfie, mate, or Wolf, or whatever. No, Mr. I'm not that uppity. you can call me arsehole as you like, as long as you put a laugh out loud after it, Sorry, Leroy is definitely in the chat. Big up, dude. It says, big O, lads. Steve is a legend. He's referring to me taking the piss.
Yeah.
No, he's not. Donna says, Mama Flossie. Big up, Mama Flossie. Hope you're doing well. Who is Steve here? Donna, for your information, that's my alter ego that I've been given, apparently. Yeah. It says, big up Wolfie, but Tote. I'm not sure if she just put the Tote there and meant Tony.
No, it's Tont. Big up Tont.
Big up Tont.
Yeah, evening, Rosie, afternoon.
Well, says to Leroy, says Ro, and Wagwan Mama Flossie says Donna. I think you should just say hello to her, not Wagwan. You're talking to a big woman, mate. You know what I mean? I would treat him like a brethren then. Well, it's only me, and Steve is the kid. Shut your mouth about Steve is the king. Donut. Yeah. So, tell me something. Like when you did get home the next day and you saw the television pictures of all the streets swamped. And all that kind of thing. Is it what did you have a scope or an idea of the scope of things then, or was it just dawning on you when you see all these helicopter pictures of all these thousands of people?
When you got off the tube, because you're coming from the underground, and then of course you're coming through the station, and you start seeing the build up of people, and then before you know it, you must advertise my sex place. Jesus.
I just noticed that still up the shelves.
Basically, as you're getting nearer to
Donut,
as you're coming out towards the high street, then you realise that where we're going to get to stand, and when you think the crowd at that point from the fence line to where it's 15 strong, you're trying to find a spot, and then you watched it on the TV on the highlights, and you think, oh yeah, I was standing just over there. Look, did it see us? You're looking out for yourself, things like that. Being part of the nostalgia, as they say.
Yeah, true. And like you were saying, then back then it was a different whole vibe, because obviously even people that aren't supporting the club are going to just come out to feel the vibe anyway. So it's because one thing about it is I always found that, and me and you have talked about this on your channel, we've spoken about this on mine as well, about the one thing that's massively changed in football was particularly into the late noughties, early 2000s, and all that kind of thing. It became very much business based, not community based, and that's the thing, really, because they're not really bothered about who sits in the seats anymore, just as long as they're filled.
Yes.
Oh, blimey, everyone's turning up. Leroy says between Arsenal, Manchester United, Chelsea, the only 2 cups have been won in the last 2 years, both by Man United. Yeah, but have you seen how happy the United fans are? The trophies don't mean much when your fan base is crying. And besides, we won a major trophy, 4 or 5 years ago? Their last one was 11 years and counting, and Arsenal's is 20 years and counting. So I'll go trophy to trophy with a Man United or Chelsea, Arsenal fan any day of the week recently. I meant if your guest isn't single, I will flirt with him. No, you won't.
You
will not flirt. There is. You're supposed to be the senior advisor at Tottenham Hotspur. Behave yourself. Ravi says, big up, lads. Big up, Ravi. Hope you're doing well, mate, and doing all good. Mr. Simon. Why do you call me Mr. Simon? My Mama Flossie and I studied in the same high school. Yeah, all right. That's all I'm going to say to that. Yeah, all right. Big up, Bargav. Well done, mate, for carrying a certain stream the other day. Apparently, I got told you had to soldier the other day, so well done on you, mate. I weren't there myself, but I heard it went down like a fart in a spacesuit. Yeah, right. Oh my lord. Almighty parting in unprecedented depth. I could pass with me in my 30s. Interesting.
Superb.
Oh dear. Those London tube build-ups are real. Hey mate, if you think that, yes, people pass out and fall out of the train. So yes, it's very real. Yeah. But going back to it, yeah, as I said, so you got a bit older. When did you know you loved football? Like, was it happen when you were 8, 9, 10? Like, what happened?
Like I said to you, I came in late into it because football wasn't exactly my thing at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
It's only the fact that a friend of mine, he was big into football and West Ham. He even tried to get apprenticeships with him. He wrote letters, basically, kind of in certain respects, begging, can he become a apprentice at West Ham? Not back all the time. And then he phoned me up one day and said he's getting to be a manager for a youth team. I was doing first aid with St John's Ambulance at that stage.
So how old were you?
I was 17 going on 18 at that point.
Oh wow! So you were even later than what I was when it came into actually getting into football. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that because you never
No,
said
it's fine. So yeah, that's when I kind of actually, because I, don't get me wrong, in school and things like that, I'd join in and stuff like that. But I wouldn't say I was naturally gifted or had a real kind of passion for it. It was more, say, later on when I first got into doing this. So, like I said, I kind of because I did the first aid side of things. He asked would I come and look after the kids, these under 15s if anyone got injured. I said, yeah, not a problem at all. But it turned out what was happening. They knew a couple of the lads, which I did as well. And as always, giving them clips around the back of the head and stuff like this. And it's a case of, I was quite vocal in that respects. You can't be doing that, because at the end of the day, you're going to have the parents on your case.
Well, that's old school though. We used to get a clip around the back of the ear.
Of course, but
or a slap on the wrist.
Not when you think about that stage and that you only got 3 or 4 years difference and stuff like this. There's a discipline, but there's overzealous discipline. You know what I mean?
True, I get you, but my mum always used to say you're never too old to get a clump. So.
Yeah, but that's your mum. But when you're doing,
it's true. Yeah,
there's a difference straight away. But when you think about it, when you're doing something like that and you're teaching youngsters, and don't forget these 15-year-old kids at this point now becoming young adults. So of course they've got their own kind of way of dealing with things and saying things and stuff like this. And that's the thing I was looking at. So of course, when this season finished, because there was a couple of times they did it a few times, and of course I made it quite vocal that you should be doing this, and these kids must have picked up on this because when it came to the season finished, had a little break, come back into pre-season, these kids must have had a meeting or some shit like that because basically they turned around to my mate and said, "We don't want you as manager anymore. We want him, being me." So that I kind of took over, and my first 2 signings I got was a team that folded, and I literally had a left back and a right back, and these stayed with me for 30 odd years as players, and they're still good friends.
Wow!
Yeah, both captained the clubs from moving over from the youth team to the adult team. They both become captains for the club itself. And the right back, funnily enough, I already had another right back there. So the right back, I put him up top. And that first season, he got me 25 goals. So it wasn't a bad move to do that.
Master stroke.
Second season, he was dog shite. He went back as being right back and he stayed there ever since,
All's fair in love and football.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, my mate who brought me into this, he left because of me kind of taking over. But that first season, we came second and we won a cup. So it was the start of things from then on.
Mm-hmm. And what time? And when was this, may I ask? Like, what year?
So what was that now? Let's see now. 93. So this would have been around 1991.
Wow, blimey. Ravi, your questions and any questions for Tony, I will keep until the end. I have seen your question. I have starred it. I will put it on the back burner and then we'll come to answer it in a minute. Unhappy Hammerette says, sorry I'm late. How you doing, Happy? Hope you're well. Smash up the likes and subscribes, of course. Leroy says the same. Thank you, Leroy. God bless your son. do you see? Okay, I'll come back to that. Ravi's got quite a few questions. 1 minute, I'll come back to them. I promise. Unhappy Hammerette says, I used to be miserable Hammerette, but since boys left, I'm now just unhappy Hammerette. Love Loppy is real. Okay. Mr. Early Doors, do you have any lookalike siblings? Oh, for Christ's sake. Luppy Love, I like a man you like. Oh, Jesus Christ, please. Mr. Early Doors TV, I have subscribed to you also. Thank you, Donna, for that. Like, just don't pest it. Just don't pest him about being sing. And big up Stu as well in the building.
Yeah, big up Stu.
Anthony and
you well. You and Lee are doing good.
I say, I hope, you and Lee are doing as well, and hope Jess and everyone else on the channel is bopping and happy, because I was in there yesterday, and they were lovely, lovely, lovely people. So, you moved into management of a team, and how old were you when you said you did this? Like your age, because it's quite young.
18 at this point, going into 19. Yeah.
Wow, so that's amazingly young for to actually be like managing a team. And if you've replaced your mate, pardon me for saying that, but if you've replaced your mate, did your mate take that very well then, or did he take that a bit badly?
No, I don't think he did at the time. I think he realised that his time was done, and he kind of decided that was it. And then the funny part about it was, we did it for 2 seasons, and then basically we moved. Some of the lads wanted to do other things. I also had to do. At this point, I was doing other things as well. So the youth team folded, and then a couple of the lads joined.
What club was this, may I ask?
This was a team called East End Royals.
Ah, okay.
This is a team called East End Royals. And then in '93, we got kind of back together again, and literally there was a couple of my two captains, or the left back and the right back, joined this adult team, but they said that it's on the verge of collapse. Would you come over and have a look? So I went over and watched a couple of sessions, and there was a team called Nadet, and they were based over by Custom House and around that area, and Silverton, So I watched a couple of sessions, and then literally I stopped him in training, and all of a sudden I said, "Can I call you all over?" And I just said, I want to take over the club, change its name, bring some players in, and East Thames was born back in '93. And it went on for, like I said, 30-odd years.
Is it still going now?
I folded it not last year, the year before.
Oh, what happened? Administration?
No, it's just a case of when I moved up to Harlow, I moved the team up to there as well, because it was in the East London area, was playing there, and basically, the league's okay, but the quality of the players are not exactly what I'm used to. So, it was a case of the teams I had using it. There was one team that did very well. But when we moved on to another team, basically, I didn't want to drag the name through the mud. Big up, Anthony. Yeah, I did. Well, left back in the change room, absolutely. Basically, I didn't want them to drag the name of the club into the mud any further. So I decided to kind of, pull the plug on it after all that.
Oh, I see. Got it?
Yes, I was, because at the end of the day, but I think if you look at, I said, like, 93 we started it. First season when we did our first season as East Thames, we came second, and we lost out by 2 points. 2 points. We got Lee. Are we doing well, Lee? And in the cup, we lost it 1-0. But the story of that was, you had, Clapton Football Club.
Yes, I know.
So the final was held there. So we had our fans on our side of the pitch. Lord Stanley, the pub itself, their fans were on the opposite side of the pitch. Of course, you had our name being called out, their name being called out. 0-0 at half time. Second half, we come out. We score a goal from a corner, and the referee, who was the chairman of the league, blew the whistle and said there was a foul. Even the other team are looking around and thinking to themselves, "Who fucking fouled who?" Basically, yeah. And we lost it 1-0. He was trying to get something out of it. Got caught on the counter. They scored the goal.
Oh, so they ruled your goal off? They ruled your goal out then.
They ruled the goal off because they were saying there was a push on the keeper. The keeper saying there was fuck all done to me. And like I said to you, it was disappointing to lose it like that. But the one, so this Lord Stanley's celebrating that, yeah, we've won the cup, etc. But the one thing, you'll never take away. I thought the Crockies were bad. The one thing you'll never take away from that was the fact that the Lord Stanley supporters realised that we'd been done by, and the second half of the game, they were calling out our team's name. They were chanting our team rather than their own team.
Wait on, there you go. This is what me and Bargav will ask a joint question on this. Ravi, I'll ask a joint question. Question for both. What was the one thing that made you like football? Now, I will answer that. Obviously, Tony's my guest, so please. Okay, you said about the crowd noise and stuff. Like, what draws you to football? Because obviously you said it's a game that's changed a lot. And I'll go back to what you were saying about management in the side, but I want to hear more about you as the fan first, and then I'll go back to, because there was a story Tony told me last week I want to ask him about. And I'll give you a little sneak peek how it went. He went to the lads that he was managing, and they asked him, what was he doing? And he was just like, don't worry, boys. I was just seeing who was here next season. So, like, that's a good way of getting everyone's attention. I liked that when you told me that one. But I'm gonna let you elaborate that on yourself. But I just love the way you did it when you're just looking around and everyone's like, what's he doing? So, yeah, what was it? Big up Malia as well. How have you doing, man? God bless you.
Yeah, so I think, being that Upton Park was up the road, it was going to be my natural, my team to support because it was on the doorstep. But yeah, I think it was a case of going watching the football, and and at that point, I suppose it was, like I said, the later years more than anything else, it kind of drew me more into it because the fact of I started to get into management, I started to see watching football in a different way, if that makes sense. I'm looking at, not just obviously how the team's playing and watching good football being played at points. I'm also looking at it on a tactical way of looking at things. So I'm also I'm learning from that as well. So I think that's one thing that kind of drew me into the interest of it as well.
Well, okay. Well, in that case, then what's the main appeal about football? The fact that you can dissect it, or the fact that there's the passion plus that you've got your own side of it where you can just like.
There's a passion as well, because obviously when the team's playing well, you act as if you're like the 12th person. When the ball's up in the air and that, you're doing that as you're watching the game. And,
of course.
And you're kind of getting in there. I mean, players know that when I'm on the sidelines and they're anywhere near me, they know to stand about 4 foot away from me, because at that point they're going to be punched, kicked, because I'm actually part of that. I'm involved at that movement.
Come here, son.
Put it this way, yeah. I mean, when I finished the team up in where I was, I helped another team out.
Mm-hmm. And what was the name of that team?
The team was called Newtown Rangers. Now, I've helped a few other teams out, over the years, but this particular one, we played a team, what they called Sporting Romania, and there was an incident before I joined the club between one of their players and one of the players that I was looking after.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I raised my eye. I'm not going to read it out, but that's a very interesting comment from Donna. Thank you. So you were saying?
So basically, on this, it was a case of a spitting incident was involved, and this player got sent off because he retaliated. So when he was suspended, and it just so happened when his suspension finished, he could play for us, and it was against these guys. So of course, we were hoping there was going to be some hostility, etc. And they were, there was 3-1 up at the time, and then we came back 3-2, came 3-3, and then I brought this player on that had the incident, and at this stage he's received the ball and smacked it top right hand corner, so 4-3.
Big up aces.
And that was virtually at the end of the game. The thing was, when we scored that goal, I've done that more. I've celebrated, and I've hugged this person, and I've suddenly thought to myself, he ain't fucking reacting here. What's this all about? And I pulled away from it, and as I'm looked, it's only the fucking manager of the other team, innit? And I'm celebrating with him and that when it scored the goal, and he's like, oh shit. But his
I can
face
just
was,
imagine the look on his face as you probably went kind of
no,
like this.
It was just unbelievable. I said, but brilliant. That it was in certain respects was rubbing salt in the wound kind of thing, like because what they had done in the first place.
Yeah, but you didn't mean it though, did you? You know what I mean? It was just one of those ones you were just happy, like
Of course, mate. Of
you did
course.
that back in the day when you because especially when you were at games. And I've been to West Ham, Chelsea, whatever, blah blah blah. And particularly back then, when people used to go nuts in the ground when someone scored, you literally just grabbed anyone that was close.
Yeah.
Like literally typical West Ham. Oh, Anthony's bringing the banter today, mate. Jeepers creepers.
He's saving up for later on tonight. That's what it is.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. Make sure you check that out on Tony's channel later on, by the way. And with my boy Fudgy. I say Fudgy? Fuzzy. Sorry, I said I don't know why I said Fudgy. Sorry, I apologize.
Fudgy.
Slip of the tongue. Maybe because of the chocolate. Who knows? So, yeah, you were helping this other team out, the Rangers. And how did that go?
Yeah, it went well. Yeah, because the thing what they needed more than anything else than that was stability. There's some good players in there, but very individuals. So to come in there and kind of get them to gel together as a team and play more, attractive football. Basically, Fudgy's put there, but also it kind of united them. They actually kind of played with more purpose when they did their football. So it was good to do that. And then I left them the next season because I could see the chairman of the club, he started getting himself a bit too involved. And I thought to myself, okay, if that's what you want, I'll move on, and which I did. So I was helping out my boys' team, Bockus. So they're in the Premier League of the league they're in, and it's been a good season with them.
I'm gonna call him that on the show. What, Fudgy? Well, just let him know you nicked it from Wolfie, all right, Anthony? Because I will be in the chat watching, making sure you don't steal my gags. But yeah, so we're going to flip back over to you as a fan now. When would you really say then you became that diehard Hammer fan? When would you say on your own volition? Because I remember when I spoke to you last week about you're fan as a child or whatever else, but as a man, eventually you get to the point where you can do it on your own step.
Yeah.
What was that for you? Please too.
I suppose the 80s and 90s is when you were kind of getting more into it in there, because then you started going to some of the games and you're starting to feel you're walking up towards Upton Park and that, and the first thing you smell is them dodgy burgers and, the onions.
And the piss. And the
piss as well. Then you're in the bloke, scarves, get your scarves. And then, the other one, programs. And of course, when you used to go into the stadium, what was his name now? I can't think. But there was a bloke who used to walk around, had a leather jacket on and that, and all he was doing was selling peanuts. He'd just walk around saying, peanuts, and then throw you a bag of peanuts and things like that. Yeah, so it's that. And like I said to you when we talked last week, I was quite fortunate that through doing the first aid, also the St John's ambulance, it just so happened that it was West Ham division, and they looked after West Ham as a duty. So I was quite fortunate for all the home games that I could sit there.
You lucky git, because I did my first day through St John's ambulance and I never got anything, and I got my certificate to prove it. I didn't get anything. You lucky git.
So
why didn't I get that, like Arsenal ladies or something? Why?
So yeah, from that, obviously, I got to that kind of enhanced, I suppose, a passion for West Ham, because you're actually sitting there and you're watching the game and you're learning from that as well, kind of thing. So it's great in that respect. I mean, what was always funny, especially where you sat in the corner where the police box was above you, because there was these two stewards, and you'd be sitting there and suddenly you think, so, I smell rum. And you look around at these two, and they've got coffee, and all of a sudden the bloke looks over you and gives you a little wick and goes, special brown sugar. And they're sort of sipping away at these coffee. So when you look at something like that, it was a good experience. But then this is when I got a radio call to go up to the dugouts, and that's where I met Ronnie Gow.
Explain to everyone what the dugouts is, because even I don't know what you mean.
Well, the dugout, the manager and the players sit. The dugout. That's what they used to call them. The dugouts. So it's from that point there, I got introduced to Ronnie Gow, and I was offered to be a physio for the under-15s for West Ham, which I took on. So I was there for 2 seasons.
Hang on. So before we get onto West Ham, then, and you being actually part of the team there, tell me something a bit more about when. What was the first game you went to on your own volition? And can you remember much about your first match as an adult, going there on your own 2 feet, so to speak?
Yeah. I'll never forget it. It was against Sheffield United. Jesus Christ! I'd rather go and watch paint dry. It was much more exciting. It was, it was a grey, miserable day. The heavens opened up, and the football was shite from both teams. It was a 0-0 game, and from that, you kind of suddenly think to yourself, "Did I do the right thing by doing this?" Is it all? Are all these games going to be like that?
No.
Because that was.
All right, then. So that was a bit of a boring match. So what was the first game then you went to that was really exciting? Because obviously I feel sorry for you because your first game looks like you sounded like you went and watched paint dry. So what was the first match that really grabbed you in person? Of course,
basically it was the quarter of the semi-finals against Nottingham Forest at Aston Villa.
What, FA Cup?
Yeah.
Ooh, that must have been tasty.
To go in,
Wait, was Clough still in charge?
Yeah.
Did you get to meet him?
No, but I remember because they was on the opposite side to where we were. The dugouts were the opposite side of the pitch to where we were. And I remember I was working a few weeks ago. Yeah, I will do. Basically, that's what was it? I think it was about 19 or so minutes into the game. This is when Tony Gale got sent off by Keith Hackett.
Oh, God.
For a very kind of dubious foul. It wasn't a sending off, and no way about it. But of course, he was sent off, and respectively, we lost the game 4-0. But even though we lost the game, the one thing that, I'll take away from that is the fact of, just like with my team losing that final, is the fact of we were louder than Forest fans. We droned out the place.
Well, that's a hard thing to do, actually, because one thing about Forest, they've got a lively bunch of fans and they're passionate as well, especially under the Clough era as well. They got more front than South End there. Anthony's tractor. Oh, the time for the cider. Okay.
Wow.
Well, as long as you don't crash your tractor, mate. All good. All good.
So when you look at something like that, you knew, I suppose this is where you used to get the banter from people, because at the end of the day, that's what, the reputation of West Ham, what they had. Your yo-yo club, there but not there kind of thing. So when you look at something like
Chelsea,
that,
actually, at the time.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. There was that as well, wasn't it? But when you look at the things like that, and you see that, we were losing this game 4-0, but yet we're still singing. We're not dejected. We know it wasn't the team's fault in that respects. It's down to a kind of referee's decision that's kind of upset the balance of the game. But to celebrate
do you reckon Cloughy paid the referee off? Because there were a lot of rumours back then about the money going around and how Clough had his dibs in certain things. I'm not besmearing the guy, but do you reckon that's what it was?
Look, it happens all the time, mate. I mean, I could tell you, for instance, Nick Barmby.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he went to Spurs, didn't he?
Yeah, infamous Nick Barmby. Yeah.
He was going to be a West Ham player until his old man got a particular phone call, and a nice brown envelope for about 50k, and then before you know it, Nick Barmby is a Spurs player. So it goes on, mate. It goes on. We know it goes on. So yeah, you see many of them, but of course, I say you can't take away them kind of type of games to that. And even like I say, when I was at West Ham itself, and you're watching these youngsters trying to show themselves to kind of get this chance of getting an apprenticeship, and you see so many coming through the ranks and not even making the grade. So like you said, when I spoke to you about last week, going with that kind of head movement and stuff, there was a particular case where this is when Bonzi was manager, and there's this who was we playing at the time? I think it was Norwich or something like that. And there's this youngster up top, and Jimmy Neighbour was the youth development officer at that stage. Bonzi's come walking over, and of course, before that, this is the week before. So Jimmy Neighbour's coming over and he's gone up to the coaches and that. Who's that lad up top? So they said who he was, and basically they've turned and he's literally looked at him and went, bin him off. Don't like him. Don't like they can do anything. But the coaches obviously must have convinced Jim because he was there the week later. And at that point, this is when Bonzi came over, watched the game. Neighbour come and walked over because he saw Bonzi there. So of course he's trying to big himself up in front of him. And next minute, the kid that was crap the week before, he's mustard Bill. He can do this, he can do that, blah, blah. Week before, he was dog shit.
Mm.
And that's, unfortunately, it works with most of all these teams. Put it this way. It is. If you didn't make it, if you weren't good enough at West Ham, you'll be bundled off either to Southend, Charlton, Leyton Orient, and even Spurs, Chelsea, and Arsenal. So a kid would be banded around whatever until their kind of face fits.
Mm-hmm. I see what you mean, yeah. Because that's kind of what you did back in the day, really. You found certain players couldn't make it at certain clubs because literally the structure of it was just, they just couldn't get in it. Like, just couldn't, like you said. Because one thing about it is, and you being a youth coach as well, you'd know this, there's 1,000 boys out there all with talented or good feet, but it's that extra step up here that makes them a player, and it makes them a professional footballer instead of just kick around the park sort of footballer.
Of course. I mean, look at it from your point of view. I mean, us, as West Ham and you as Chelsea, you had him as well, Frank Lampard Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when you look at him, for instance, because he was as a under 15, 15-year-old kid, he was quite a chubby kid at the time.
Super fat Frank.
Yep, and fortunate enough, he say fortunate enough, probably the wrong thing to say, but he had glandular fever, and it knocked a lot of.
Yeah, I remember that actually. Still, yeah, Super Grand, all that.
Yeah, I never watched that. I must admit, I thought it was shit.
Super Grand, yeah.
But he got glandular fever, and big up Eros. And it did knock all the that puppy fat off of him. And in certain respects, it was for the better, because that kid would stay out 2 hours after everyone had finished, continually kicking the ball.
Yep.
I remember we went to a game. I think it was, where was it now? Chatham. We went to Chatham, and Frank Senior drove us there. And I'll never forget him saying around, as we're driving there, he was talking to Frank and basically saying, you may have my name, but you're going to earn your stripes. You ain't going to get support from me. So he made sure he learnt the hard way, like his old man did, basically. So, it was kind of kind love, but at the same point, he's making sure that, you're going to push yourself to do what you're doing. Mm-hmm. If you're going to make a go of it in this game, then you are literally going to graft for it.
Well, hang on a minute, because that's the thing, actually. I'm going to get onto that about what you just said about Lampard, because one thing about this guy is lucky because he may not have realised it at the time, but he watched half the stars or the future stars of the Premier League walk around. Because we're not going to lie about this, and I'll be honest about that. When you look at later on into the 2000s, when you look at the Carricks, the Ferdinands, the Lampards, and even John Terry, they all came from West Ham. So it's one of those ones where we all benefited from that West Ham club of the 90s with all the talented youngsters, and it's funny how they're all East End boys as well.
Yeah,
all those lads like Rio, Jermaine Defoe, Lampard, Glenn Johnson, all those lads. They were all like probably because Frank Lampard's from Romford. I can't remember where Rio Ferdinand's from. Oh dear, what? Who the hell is this? I'm not even going to read that comment out. Is that on your channel or mine, Tone? The last one that's just come
on mine, I think.
Yeah. I ain't going to read that out. I'm not sure if that's serious or not. But he says, I heard Tony like Pat Butcher from EastEnders. Aren't we all a prick in the time? So, yeah, sorry. So, before I go into more deeply about your coaching roles, because there's a couple of questions I have. As a fan, what was the first, big win you remember being at as a West Ham fan? Because obviously you told me about 2 games you've gone to. One was a paint drying draw and the other one was a 4-0 defeat. So what was the first big victory you remember?
I think the biggest one was, back in the day then, the first kind of big one you saw, and that was when we played Millwall. We beat them 3-1.
Oh, that's always nice.
And that one, because I remember this is when we had signed Ludic McCloskey. So of course, this bloke didn't really know much English. It was very broken English, and I remember the crowd shouting out, "Ludo, what's the score?" And he'll turn around and also with big old goalkeeper gloves and come up with the old, the free, yay! And of course, this is when Teddy Sheringham was playing for Millwall back in the day then.
Steady Teddy.
And of course, the West Ham crowd shouted, Teddy, what's the score? And it's funny when you think about it, years to come later that he actually played for us.
West Ham, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's ironic, isn't it? Like, the whole circle is complete.
Exactly.
So, what was the score in that particular game? Do you remember?
I remember. I think it was 3-1. It ended up.
Did it end up 3-1? So, out of all the matches you've been to, pardon, Wolfie, it's my comment. It was Arsenal versus West Ham game last season. What about Arsenal?
It's the one where he's got in bold capitals.
Oh, I see. And what exactly did you say, Anthony? Because I'm not privileged to everything you've written. So
he's basically saying the ball was over the line.
Oh, is that what it was? This one? Oh, you're talking about when they played and you beat them? Is that what it was?
Or still got sour grapes over it for some reason. I don't know what it's all about.
Yeah, well, you're going to win the league. Oh shit! Sorry, Anthony, that weren't meant as a dig, mate. But I can come out with funnies.
3 times the charm.
Third time. Well, in this case, Mikel Arteta's case, it'd be like the 4th time's a charm and about 700 mil deep.
Jeez.
Even just. So, what was the worst game can you remember as a fan? Like, because I've been to quite a few West Ham games, and I must admit, Man United for me at Upton Park when Man United used to come to town. Because I remember when I used to get in there for £1.
Yes.
Back in the day, the quid for kids.
Kids for a quid.
Now, can I just say something? I haven't seen anything so balmy for quite a long time. Because I think Man United won. I think they beat you 2-1 on the day. I can't remember very well because this was a long time ago. Even for me, this is nearly like 25 plus years ago now. Yeah. So it was one of those ones where at home or at the many games you've been to, which was the worst for you and why?
What was the worst one? Jesus, I thought.
No, Rossi, he wasn't talking about the Newcastle call. No, he wasn't talking about that, mate.
Yeah, that's the one with Bowen. The worst one, bloody hell. There's a few to mention, isn't there? That's for sure.
Well, I'll just go through every Chelsea match of last season. I want to think about the worst.
I mean, obviously, I think the one you got to say more than Kelson there was, the 6-0 drubbing by Arsenal, basically.
Yes.
Because that, when you look at other games when we've lost 3 or 4-0 on that, but the fact that to collapse like we did in that game, that was quite embarrassing, really, in that respect. So you can understand why the fans were leaving by half time, if not before then. But yeah, it was a bit, embarrassing. But I've been at the same point. I've been there when you watched Ian Dowie defending the corner and bullet header in the top right hand corner. I've seen, fun enough, when we played Marco Boogers, when run halfway across the pissing down the rain pitch, launched himself about 6 foot up in the air and landed down on top of Gary Neville. Got sent off, and we never see him again until it reportedly said that he was kind of doolally and living in a caravan on Canvey Island.
Jeepers creepers! And what was it? One of those ones you stayed the whole game then, or did you leave at half time?
Well, what can you do? I mean, you stay, don't you? At the end of the day, regardless of the results. I mean, I wasn't there for the 6-0 one, but I've been in ones where. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's you lose a game convincingly, but you stay until the end. Because why leave early? We see it quite often. I mean, like the Arsenal fans, we see them doing it quite a lot, last season.
You know what? That was for me, that was the best irony. The fact of all the Arsenal fans were bantering all the other fans for leaving, and then right at the last, like with Villa as well, they all exit in droves like a herd of sheep. Like it's kind of, don't get me wrong. Like I don't mock any particular group of fans, but it's just one of those ones where the irony and it all went round and came back on them. It was just. Yeah, and then you got Odegaard sitting there picturing, because remember when does that famous picture with Odegaard sitting there in the camera, and he's looking at the Arsenal fans this time. You know what I mean? Oh, that was crazy. Anthony Prickler, King Mikel. Who the hell is King Mikel?
Yeah, King Mikel. Yeah, he's king. He's Mikel. He's the king.
And what are you king of? Just out of curiosity, other than your wife, because you conquered her. All that.
King of Arsenal. He's the king of Arsenal. King Mikel.
It was it. Oh, yeah, it doesn't take much to be a king nowadays, isn't it? They hand it out like Crispies. Never mind.
Oh, just, go back to that picture again, Wolfie, isn't it? Yeah, look, he's got eyebrows like Anthony Herbert.
But he hasn't got a pretty attractor than what Anthony's got. Yeah, Prickler, definitely. I can't do a siren thing. Like, I could do many impressions, but that I can't do. There's one thing about King Mikel. Can I just ask you a question? How does it feel still being a loser? Yeah, you know what I mean? Because if I ever, if I ever met Mikel in real life, Mikel Arteta, the questions I would ask him, like, are you still a cone man? How does it feel to still be a cone man? Pep always just finishes first. You always finish second. Is your wife happy about that as well? There you go. Ross is laughing and says the first loser as well. There you go. I always come second. Ask my missus. Sorry, and I know Kate's watching. I'm so sorry, Kate. I'm so sorry. I did tell Tony the story about the other day of what happened to you on the front room floor, by the way. You know what I mean? Like that was hilarious. And are you still a cone man? Talks of pricks, I have arrived. Pick up, Budgie! Pick up the budge. How you doing, sir? You're right. It's funny you just said only he could drop that. Talking of pricks, I have arrived. Ta-da! And here he is, folks, the biggest prick of them all. Oh, Kieran's as well, by the way. Big up to Kieran as well. He makes me laugh in Australia. He always looks like he's in the outback somewhere, getting ready to fight animals, talking about West Ham. It's hilarious.
It's all them birds.
Isn't it? And we mean actual birds. We don't mean like Shaylas walking across the screen or anything like that. Eros says, big up, Budgie. Now, going back to it, you said about when you were sitting there and you were getting driven by Frank Senior, in fact, Frank himself. Now, of that time, because obviously, tell me all that, because if you see Lampard, then you should have seen people like Rio Ferdinand and all those like, etc.
Rio Ferdinand, I actually, I've taken him to games, I've driven him home. He's him and Frank and a few others. Yeah, they was all part of that kind of era at the time.
Well, can I ask you a question? When you looked at the Franks, the Rios, the Jermaine Defoes, the Joe Coles, because Joe Cole would have been coming up at that time as well. You know what I mean? Like, and I remember Joe Cole was a nipper as well, because he was at one of the games I was at, and he was only a bit older than me, because he was he was like, I don't know, maybe about 16. Because he was in your youth academy for quite a while, wasn't he? So I remember seeing guys like that on the bench. Obviously, they don't have the stardom then that they do now. Because if I saw him back then, it's Joe Cole. If I see him now, it's, oh my God, it's Joe Cole! You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. But tell me, like, as a coach at that time, did you see, because you said about Frank Lampard and his training ethic, and we were talking about this last week about how these boys would literally go in more than what, they were more than professional football players. They were dedicated football players. Now, can I ask you a question? Like, who else would you say stood out that way, even if they didn't make it? Because there were a lot of talented boys at West Ham at the time, and not all of them made it. And even up, go on. Sorry, you were going to say something.
No, I was going to say there was one kid. His name was Jason Gerrity. Great kid, midfielder, and potential to knock on. But unfortunately, ruptured the ACL, and that was his basically his pro career finished. Basically, when I kind of left West Ham and I went on to manage at semi-pro level, the club I went to, the second club I went to, he was there, and it was quite ironic because I walked into the room, he stared and I stared, and we both looked away and looked again, and
Oh, double take. Yeah.
It was one of those, and it was just a case of catching up on each other. Like, what are you doing?
Hello. Yeah, what are you doing here?
There was, I've seen it a few times where you see kids get knocked back by pro clubs, and that's it for them. They kind of feel dejected. I'm not going to make it. That's me done with, and stuff like this. But one thing I'll make do with Jason was the fact of it didn't deter him, because he made a career of himself in semi-pro. Because if he couldn't do it at that level, he was going to do it at this level, and that's what he did. And I commend him for that. Whereas a young lad, Robbie Drake, he was an Arsenal apprentice. He got knocked back, and he came to us. He knew where the goal was, but the problem was, you could tell he still had that kind of chip on the shoulder because he's been kicked, knocked back by the club. But every now and then, he would literally flick on the switch, and you see that brilliance. You could tell what he could have been. But as soon as he switched it on, he switched it back off again. And maybe in certain respects, that's probably why he got booted out in the first place, because of having that kind of attitude.
He wasn't on it all the time.
Nothing wrong with that, Anthony. There's nothing wrong with that background.
You leave my guest alone, Anthony. Get in your tractor and bugger right off, all right? Waggling my finger at you. Mustn't grumble. Exactly. You tell him, buddy. Don't grumble, bud. I know he's taking to talk about something else, but I thought I'd just use it. But can I ask you a question? Like, what could you tell at the time? Because it was a very good, when you were there, it was a very, 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 very special and talented group of players, even though they didn't do it for West Ham, which is arguably, the great woe of, if West Ham caught all these guys, kept all these guys and didn't get relegated, would have they been the first, super team in the Premier League? Because, the amount of stars you guys had that came up through you guys was kind of ridiculous. And the amount of players that everybody else bought off you guys when you were relegated.
Yeah, well, put it this way. I mean, if you look at the fact, when, young Rio, you wouldn't think that he would become what he was, because he was as skinny as a rake, squeaky voice, voice are not broken at this stage, but he was skinny as a rake. And you think yourself, he's just like one of the other kids that you see at the club at that time. There was a couple that stood out. I mean, there was a young forward. I can't remember what his name was now. And low centre of gravity, is a small little stocky lad, but blistering pace and knew where the goal was. The problem he had was his old man. And he would literally, he was... I wouldn't say he's kind of like a dictator, but he was overbearing to the point that the coaches had to tell him, if you carry on, we're going to ask you just to drop him off, and you can literally fuck off out of it, basically, because you're stopping his career. You're still muted, mate.
Yeah, sorry, my phone went off. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, exactly. No, I was just agreeing with you, because obviously, the guy shouldn't interfere. Once you've dropped your kid off to training, just bugger off.
No, he was literally, he'll be basically kind of, saved from beating him up, but he got close to that, because you rough him up a couple of times, and that's when the coaches said, enough is enough. You're getting a bit too much now.
Rafael Benitez, of all people. No, he doesn't look like Rafael. Because if he did, he'd be like, okay. You know the way he had that deep, no, he doesn't look like a Benitez. You know what? He does remind me of a bit, though. No, I'm not going to say it. I'll save it till later. I'll hold my opinion back, because I was going to say something, but I'm not going to. Well, so you were saying, so did you get that often with interfering parents? Was that one of the marks of being a youth coach?
He was basically the worst one out of the lot of them, because he was just unbearable. But there was a young lad, and he was his old man, because this kid come with Norwich first of all. Next time, then he'll come along with Everton. Then he was with Southampton. Then he came to what was it now? Spurs.
Did you say Everton? Did you just say Everton? He went well up north, didn't he?
His old man was just trying to find the best price. So this kid was being banded all over. He was taking this kid all over to various clubs, hoping that one was going to turn and say, "Yeah, well, we'll sign him up." How is that good for the kid's career?
Well, mercenarying your child isn't very smart, particularly when you're in the development stage. Oh, that's what I was going to say. He said it. You said it's Sean Dites. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, but he was wearing the glasses, so I couldn't say it.
I don't know. Budgie, we were on about, hey. I don't know, mate.
He hasn't quite got the ginger beard, though, has he?
No,
a bit of ginger in that, but you got to dye it.
I'll dye that for the show later on.
Budgie says, that is the $1 million question, Simon. If we kept all those players along with the Canio, etc., what could have been? Well, it's funny, actually, because I remember when you guys had the Canio on loan, and I remember being outside the ground on the main gate. I think it was someone like Southampton or something, and it was just like, sign up the Canio, sign up the Canio, sign up the Canio, and literally like 5,000 people were standing outside Upton Park's gates chanting this for about 10 minutes. You know when it was? Do you remember when Glenn Roeder was in hospital?
Oh shit, yeah.
Do you remember that all the way back, like when you guys were managed by Glenn Roeder? It was literally, I think he was in hospital. You had Di Canio on loan, and I can't remember if it was someone like Southampton or so. It was way back, but I remember just all the West Ham fans going absolutely ape shit for him, because one thing about it is, back in the day, and I'm sure Tony will agree with this, the players used to stick to more local areas like Leytonstone, Leighton, they used to go other places, because there used to be an Indian restaurant on Leytonstone High Road that all the players used to go to, because it was a private gaff. And it was probably the only art marketplace in the whole. And you could always tell when Di Canio drove his Ferrari down the road, because you were wondering what the hell that Ferrari was doing here from the start. But then we start to see faces like Teddy Sheringham, because Di Canio moved up towards Epping and stuff, didn't he? When he was with you guys, right? Because I remember when I used to go to college and he used to drive past as well. It was funny how you would see these guys just out and about. It's not like how it is now, when all these like footballers are like, it's all personal executive stuff and they were shielded. They used to mingle with the public back then. What do you mean boo Di Canio? Shut up, Rose. No one asked you. Just because you didn't play in Rangers, don't be jealous about Boo Di Canio. Even I liked Di Canio. He was crazy, man. He was always the guy that you never knew what he was going to do. He was like you guys' version of Eric Cantona. You never knew quite what he was going to do. I love that about him. The fact he was just so unpredictable. Here you go. Question, Tony. What are your favourite West Ham players? Only pick one in each position. So keeper. Okay. Or I'll tell you what, Anthony. I will save that to the end, because I've got Ravi's questions as well. And I'm not going to take too much of Tony's time, because I know, bless his soul, he's just come back from work. Played for Celtic. Yeah. Yeah, but did he do anything?
Push the referee over, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, push the ref over. He did what Di Canio did, was quite controversy, but he didn't really light the league up. Yeah, that's why she's booing. She's just hating, basically. Yeah, Scottish twat. And I say that with the most endearing affection, because you should hear what she calls me. Including the word Steve, which isn't even my name. But going back to it, how long did you stick at coaching for?
So West Ham was there for 2 seasons.
Shame on you. You tell her, Budgie.
Yeah, exactly. I was there for 2 seasons. I fell out with Jimmy Neighbour, unfortunately. Yeah. Me and him, for some reason, we just didn't see eye to eye. But the funny part was, it was several years later that, obviously Jim had left West Ham at this stage, and he was actually managing at semi-pro level, and he was playing St Albans, managing St Albans. And this is when I was still at Clapton. And then he came over, and we bumped into each other, and it was quite weird because we got on really well at that stage. And it was completely like chalk and cheese. And then the funny part about it was, several years later, when my kid, my boy, was born and he started getting into football. He did obviously a much earlier age than me, but we used to go to a football tournament in Malden in Essex. And Steve Potts had an academy, Red Byron they were called. Of course, literally they'll wipe the floor of everyone. They always win the bloody tournaments and stuff. And me and Steve was talking, and all of a sudden we, got to mentioning Jim, and all of a sudden he said, "Oh, didn't you hear?" I said, "Oh, what's that?" He goes, "Jimmy passed away. Went in for an operation, stayed a local anaesthetic, and never woke back up." And I think he was 53 at the time.
Oh, God forbid.
Yeah, great shame.
Dear, that's never nice. So, do you miss it? Are you completely out of football now in terms of full stop, and you're just doing that?
I said I've helped my boys' team out. This year, I was halfway through the season helping them out, etc. So no, do I miss managing it? Yeah, of course I do. Once you start, like I said, 30 odd years of doing it, it's in your blood. You don't lose that kind of thing. You still get involved.
Can I ask you a question? Right, as a manager / coach, however you want to drop it, can I ask, is getting a team playing well more for success for you, or getting the most out of an individual player more for, what would you classify success as a coach, apart from trophies?
I think if you look at it, you can answer it in two ways. Obviously, the individual, getting the best out of an individual is a great achievement, especially when you've got certain levels, etc. I mean, a great one for me was Malcolm Allison. The way he got the best out of both teams was basically the good players. He'll literally turn around and say, "You're doing crap. You need to do more." So he G's them up. But for the poor player, he'll say, "You're doing well, son. Keep it going. You're doing really good, Connie." Afternoon, Jose. I hope you're doing well, mate. Thanks very much.
Big up, Jose.
So yeah, he would get the best of both worlds, because the good players, he's saying you're not doing enough, and for the poor players, he's saying you're doing really well. So both raise their standards because of it. So in that respect, when you've got certain players, over the years, I've been gifted with some exceptional quality and talent of players. I really have. And to get them playing, when you see them, and I see it from both sides. Yes, the individual thing is great. Don't get me wrong. To get someone to improve as an individual player, especially when you've got better players in there, that's a great achievement in itself. But when you get the team on the pitch playing the way you want them to play, because I was never a long ball merchant manager. It's all about playing it at the back or playing it, on the deck, quality passing and stuff like that. So from that, when you see the team receive the ball and basically outplay a team, and then from there scoring a goal from there. Thanks, Jose. Thanks very much, mate. Yeah, appreciate that. And then you see a goal scored because of it.
Yeah, it's a culmination of your work, isn't it? So yeah.
The thing is, what do you get from that as well, though? So it's the actual kind of the sensation you get from you in a core, and you really, you flood yourself with endorphins in that respects.
Yeah, it means a lot, of course. Yeah,
because that's you've got them doing that. I've been very blessed with the teams I've had. We've won, leagues, we've won cups. And the best part about it, the team itself, we've always, the club motto has always been, fuck them all. Yeah, because literally we've had it over the years. I mean, we went to one particular league and we got into a final. And if you read the program, it was all about the other team, because there was a bunch of youngsters. Oh yeah, they're this, they're done this, they're da. It's like they've already won the cup. It was that kind of, you could just read it. The vice chairman was on the PA system, and again, bigging them all up. So for me, team talk before the game is piss easy.
We shut them up, lads.
Have you heard all that shit? Have you read the program? This is what they're saying about you guys. Yeah, that's what they're saying about you guys. They won us 5 years in a row. Yeah. So at half time, we're 3-0 up. So the half-time team talk, again, it's piss easy. You're not going to let them in.
Yeah, keep murdering them, lads.
They're not going to score any more goals. I said the first 10, 15 minutes, they're going to come at you. They're going to try and break you down. They're going to try and get a goal. I said, it ain't happening. And the game remained 3-0. And the vice chairman on the PA system, that fucker didn't know what to say. This is a bit unexpected, mate. We wiped them off the floor.
Nice.
We had another team. What they called Highgrove, they was called. The manager was a bit of was an arsehole, but his wife was even fucking worse. She was like the she devil. We played him in a final again over at Dagenham and Redbridge. These guys went to town. They had a big old banner they put on the the advertising hoardings. All the players turn up with orange ties with the club logo and all this kind of stuff. Again, cocky as fuck. Thought they was going to win it. Nah,
Rain on your parade, mate.
Lost that game as well.
What was the score on that one?
We won that one. What was it? A 3-1.
And what was the false? Because you said you were 3-0 up in the 3-0 up in the last game. What was the final score?
3-0. Stayed 3-0. We just didn't let him in.
Right, then. No, that's fair enough. Game management and all that lot.
Yeah.
One second. Lee Gunner's birthday stream was great fun. What's that got to do with this? Just out of curiosity. Yeah, I like Lee, and I go onto his channel regularly.
Yeah, well, I was actually, he was on early this morning from was it 7 o'clock onwards, and basically, I think Lee had been drinking a few at this stage because he's on 99 point something thousand, and I think he was 600 and something odd from getting 100,000. So he said, let's stay on until I get 100,000. So I don't know if he's achieved that. So if he has, and then Jez was on there as well. Funny enough. And
yeah, I know they're doing this competing thing about who can stream the longest. This 8-hour, 9-hour thing. Yeah, I know.
And as Lee said, he goes, if need be, he goes, the missus ain't back until the weekend, and he goes, I'll fucking stream until then. I'll have no worries. I'll stream all the way until then if need be.
Fair enough, because I was just saying, because I saw that stream when I woke up, and I saw Latimer's Prime on there. He's one of my Chelsea boys, and I was just like, what did I just miss? Because don't get me wrong, I wouldn't mind talking to Lee Gunner, but one thing about me, I would rather talk to him privately first before I went on. Because one thing about Lee, I appreciate him, I respect him, but one thing about he's an Arsenal fan, and like he's kind of seen as the Arsenal fan a lot of other Arsenal fans want to talk to. So it's just kind of like I respect him. But, he's just another YouTuber to me. But I used to be a member of his channel and all that kind of thing. But I do go in there and show, give my support, say, hey, drop a super chat here and there. But maybe one day soon I can chat with him. But, he knows of me. I know of him, but we don't know each other. But big up for him and big up to Latimer for getting on there. I hope he actually said something instead of just going into his Homer Simpson thing like he normally does. And it was just, yeah. But happy birthday to Lee Gunner, by the way. Big up, right? He's a nice guy. He's always been polite to me. So, big up to him for that. And big up Jez as well, because if they both did, Jez did a 7-hour one the other day and Lee done a 9-hour one, apparently. So, yeah, that must have been crazy. I would say I'd go watch the replay, but that's a bit of a long replay and I haven't got 9 hours spare. So, here you go. I see that show before work. Okay, well, hopefully it was good, and hopefully Lee had a good birthday because I think he's 42.
Yeah, 42.
He said he was 42. So yeah, big up to Mr. Lee Gunner, and I happy belated birthday for a member here on the Wolfgang channel because he always calls me Wolfgang or Wolfang. So big up to you, Mr. Lee Gunner.
Wu-Tang Gang.
Yeah, the Wu-Tang Gang. You know what I mean? Like you could. Where's the other one? Where's the one with my sex face? I need to find that because I'll just be like, yeah, from this guy. Like all that kind of jazz. Like West Ham's injury time 9 hours. Yeah. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that for Anthony. But look, I'm going to have a couple of questions for Tony because I don't want to drag him out his day out too long. But if there's any questions you would like to ask Tony, before he goes, please, just quickly drop it in the comments and I'll ask him because I've got a couple of questions from Ravia. And obviously, I got the question from Manfredi, so I'm going to go to that in a second. But as you were saying about a little while ago, and I asked you about, how you handled these youngsters, because essentially you're dealing with children most of the time. Right?
Like I said, when Ferdinand and Lampard moved on to the next level, then we got the next under-15s coming. And, you know the story, as I said to you last week. This is when you got these kids come in and they're all cocksure themselves. They think because they're at the club, they've made it. So they can think that they look at you and think, oh, well, they can start kind of taking the piss and saying comments and trying to banter you and all this kind of stuff. Like I said to you, it's an easy one for me. So, Chad Relief in the training area and got all these kind of giving all the large and I just kind of started doing this. And as you said, they asked, what's that all about? So I'm just checking who's going to be here next season.
Yeah.
And just shut them up there and then kind of thing. Because it's a case of your foot's in the doorway, but you ain't done nothing yet. I mean, that season, my first season there, I mean, when we had Spurs come, what was his name? Don something. I can't remember his first. He was another scout and coach for West Ham. Evening, Jaminio. Basically, he was telling us about this kid that's going to come with Spurs, and this is an under 15 kid at the moment that's already rated at £1 million.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and that was big money back then.
Yeah, and he was already rated at this point there. And when you see him come along, he was a young Jamaican lad. Yeah, you could see there was something about him, but it was a case of, well, even at that age, things can change, and it did for him. He basically, the family moved away from England, and that was him finished. But
that's a shame.
Well, finished in England, shall I say that first of all. He then went on to play, I think it was Italy. I can't remember the clubs respectfully off the top of my head. I think it was Spain or something like that. And in the end, he was then signed by Manchester United.
So there was a beginning and end of all this.
And that player was Quinton Fortune.
Oh, there wasn't a beginning and end of all this. Exactly, yeah. A versatile player, but not a very good one.
Exactly. But at the time, I say 15-year-old kid, banded at £1 million at that stage and then ended up as he was.
Well, hang on. Could I ask you a question? And in that case, I'll ask you a personal question, because you just said Quinton Fortune was obviously mostly known for his Man United days. What other players would you say that you come across that went on to make it big in other teams? Like that weren't necessarily associated with West Ham? Because you knew any others? Because Quinton Fortune's obviously a big one for what he did and what he achieved with Man United. So is there any others that you can remember off the top of your head?
Oh, blimey, you're saying so. It's going back quite a few years now, mate. I mean,
rattle the old brain box, mate. Rattle the old.
Yeah, if you've got kids in the chat, folks, then I'll put them to sleep with a rattle. Trying to think now. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, like I said, Nick Barmby was going to be one of us. You can say he did all right. He did okay. Not so much somewhat like, because most of them was either was retained with West Ham. Most of the others, like you see coming in and that. No one, very rare you see anyone's kind of. We had what was his name there? Michael
Gambon. No joking.
Yeah, Michael Gambon. Dominguez or Rodriguez, I think it was. He went on, but I think he was only short term. I think because he suffered an ACL as well. But he was another one geared for. But that was a problem back in them days, wasn't it? Sports science wasn't great.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But yeah, that's one thing about in the 90s actually that vastly improved in English football actually was the sports science of it. Now we're going to get to a couple of questions, and the first one, scouting at both your clubs. What's your thoughts? Says Ravi.
So when you look at us now, obviously, not the last season, the season before, we got in. His name is went completely off my head. I had him on the tip of my tongue. What's his name? Fuck me.
I wouldn't.
No, yeah. Not on a Wednesday anyway.
Save it for Sunday.
He was a Man City fella. He was their coach, scout, and he come to us. Rob Newman, that's it.
Rob Newman. Sorry.
Yes, Rob Newman coming to us and that. And of course, there was all this expectation. He's going to do this and he's going to do that because of what he did at City. And he didn't see much of it. But then last season, we got on Tim Steadton. Or Steadton, whatever we want to say it. And that's the one. Yeah, Tim Steadton. So from there, that's when you started to see a little bit of a difference. The biggest problem was obviously Moyes. Him and he didn't like what this fellow was doing. This guy's got experience of bringing up people into there. Big up
the fuzz, hot fudgies in the building.
Big up Fuzzy.
Big up, dude.
So yeah, so when you look at when we was going for certain players, and considering what was going on with the Rice debacle at that time and coming to Arsenal, it was what we was going to get in place of this player. So when you look at it, we kind of got in 3 or 4 players from that. Every time you see that jet plane and Tim's on there, he's bringing back a player. So yeah, at the time then it was pretty good. So now Rob Newman's gone. Now we've got Lopetegui being head coach. It allows Tim a bit more freedom. At the moment, obviously, you're hearing certain things. We're tapping up the Brazilian market at the moment, trying to get these players, and then, of course, then you're hearing that if Tim doesn't do it, he's going to be sacked. And it's like you hear the bullshit's already starting, basically. So yeah, our scouting network was, back in the 80s was really good, but now you're hearing now.
Shut up, Anthony. Leave him alone. Get on your tractor, right, and fight off. No, I'm kidding.
This is the man that kind of whores him out to every Arsenal team he can get onto. Bloody cheek. But yeah, I say, like, Ronnie Gow, when I was at West Ham at the time, Ronnie Gow, I never forget, it was a freaking windswept, wet, pissing down day, and he turned around and said to these youngsters, and basically he had a pop at them, saying that, the players that he brought into this club have all turned out to be multi-million pound players, which they were. Mm-hmm. So that was, so the scouting network back in the day was good. The Stuart Slaters, the Devonshires, you name it. Ronnie and his team were one of the scouts that brought these players in.
Who was the scout that brought all the Ferdinands and them lot in?
Well, that would be down to Ronnie Gow and a few of the other teams as well. Coaches they did.
And half the big clubs in England can thank them, because we got even John Terry came from West Ham. I'm not under no illusions. I know what's what. Viva the Tractors.
Big up
Sports. A kudos good morning from Canada. CA, a real friendly tomorrow versus Holland and France Sunday.
Yeah, really nice. Wolfie, Moss is a nice guy.
Yeah, I've seen him. He comes into my chat quite often. Big up, Moss. Hope you're doing all right. Hope you're doing well. If I can get if you want to put your link, by the way, for your channel in there, I'll copy it and paste it into this legitimized. Fuzzy says, doing good, Rosie. Hopes all good with you. All that good stuff. Next question for Tony is, and by the way, to answer the previous question, what do I think about my team scouting? Great. We sign great players, but unfortunately the owners get rid of all the ones that we need and then leave us as a bunch of children. So it's mixed. So how do you see, now that you got Spaghetti Belletti in your team, how do you, or manager with you, how do you see the manager building success long term, says Ravi?
Well, with Lopetegui in there, obviously, the jury's out for one, because obviously we know his past history here in the Prem, especially with Wolves.
Yeah, my missus' team.
But at the moment, if the rumours are all true, etc., and the speculations, they're starting out early. He's already kind of put his remit in of what he needs: a forward, wingers, defenders, a midfielder. So at least we're starting early. Not the fact that obviously, say this, this so-called Fabrizio Bruno one has seemed to have died a death. Seems like he's going to be staying with Flamingos now, so that's not going to be happening. But there's a couple of other players in the pipeline that they're looking to get hold of.
Keep the good ones, says Mossy.
Yeah. That's what they were hoping for, the Kudoses, and obviously, Bowen obviously is going to stay there till the day he dies, basically.
Well, the thing is, I know a minute ago, someone, I can't remember who said it was in the chat, about if they can keep Kudos, but the thing is, I'm not being funny, when it comes down to attacking players, because I know Declan Rice was a defensive midfielder, and they're kind of seen as diamonds nowadays, because you don't have many of them, but I'm not being funny. If West Ham do, or are forced into selling Mohamed Kudus, I do think it's one of those, you're going to get Declan Rice money. Because it's one of those ones where it's with players like, because he's only like 23, 22, isn't he? So it's just one of those ones. Not only do you pay for the player, you got to pay for the potential as well. Exactly, It's crazy. So either way, if West Ham do get rid of him, just like Declan, trust me, they'll make their money back one way or the other.
But yeah, so looking at it, with Lopetegui, if he said he's still out early, and then hopefully that case it's going to go in the right direction.
Well, it's funny because Antonio, do you still think he has a place in the future left at Chelsea? West Ham, excuse me. Or do you think it's about time you guys moved on? Because he's getting on a bit and he struggled a lot last season with injuries.
He's still, when you look at it for his age, he's still fairly fit. He still kind of gets himself around. But really, we need new blood. And anything else than that, put it this way, you'd rather have him on the bench than Danny Ings. Put it that in that respects. Because he'll still offer you something, because he'll put his weight around. No disrespect to Danny Ings, but it weren't happening there. That's for sure.
Very true.
Will he be willing to stay on if he knows he's only going to be paying a bit part? I don't think he will. I think he'll want to move on himself. He probably thinks he can still offer something elsewhere.
Well, the funny thing is, you know what? Yeah, and this may sound a bit stupid, but I was kind of thinking when you guys got Schumacher, like not last season, the season before, that he might have been that kind of natural Antonio. And considering what he's done with Atlanta this season,
Moyes.
It's kind of a kick in the teeth, really, because you're kind of looking for. We had a good guy, and he's just proved it with Atlanta, and you got rid of him.
We had Sebastian Haller, and we had him.
Yeah, Sebastian Haller as well. That was another funny one because he had strength, power, pace, and all that kind of thing. And it's just
Moyes again.
There you go.
Because he didn't play a system that kind of works around these players. They become a shite overnight, and they got criticised for it. And as you said, they moved on to other clubs and scored for fun. And look at Haller, got over cancer and still came back and started banging in goals.
Yeah, Sebastian Haller getting over. Yeah, I remember that because he had cancer while he was with you lot, wasn't he? And he got over it. It was testicular cancer, if I'm right.
So when you look at things like that, I mean, it's a case of it just shows you. I mean, the classic one for me was look at Benty at Charlton, scored for fun, got signed by Spurs. Ramos never played him in the way he played at Charlton. The goals dried up overnight.
Yeah, bring back Sebastian Haller, and Antonio maybe LLS. I don't think the Saudi league would be interested in Antonio because I'm not being funny. He's more one of those players that his reputation is known of in England. So it's one of those ones, and I'm not being funny. If he's on the way out for the Hammers, I don't think he's going to be bought by the Saudi league because with the Saudi league, you either have to be marketable or successful. And unfortunately, he's none of those. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate he won. No, it's true. Because I'm not being funny. When you think of strikers in the Premier League and who you would buy, you would mention Tony first and whatever else. I don't know where on that list when it comes to people that spring to mind where Antonio would. I like Mikel Antonio. Don't get me wrong. Like Tony said a minute ago, he's got power and he's got pace and he has got something to contribute. But I think he should be more in a backup role now. Take more the Larson role. Come on as a sub, do impact damage, and he can do it because he's still a powerful lad. And he's still a quick lad.
I think at the end of the day, he's played in various positions for the team. Right back, he's played. We signed him as a winger, and I think he only did one season there. He's been everywhere else otherwise.
Denmark 1, Sweden 0. According to the game killer, big up to yourself, mate. Thank you for that score. West Spammers hammered at the bridge. Now, Chelsea, and be nice to our guests.
Good evening, Chelsea. Anyway,
he was supposed to join me for the watch along, but the team was getting so battered. I think he went to Yeti stream because I didn't think he quite wanted to hear what I was going to say to him that day. But I understand it because obviously
I'll put all the shoulders and that, Simon. You've got no worries here, mate.
Well, he's here now. That's how I see it. But big up, Chelsea, and I hope you're doing well. And the next question for you is from Anthony, the tractor man. The question, Tony, what are your favourite West Ham players? Only pick one in each position. So one keeper, one midfielder, one defender, one striker. And while he's answering, my door's just gone, so forgive me for a moment. Excuse me. Go on, Tony, answer it, and I'll be right back in a jiff.
I'll wait till you come back, mate, because you need to hear it as well. I respect you as well, Chelsea. And anyway, thanks for that, mate.
Sorry, but I'll just pick the camera and whatever else.
No worries at all.
1 minute, 2 seconds.
Yeah, Danny Dyer in the new kit video. Yeah. Jamaica, maybe MLS. I have to look for that game killer. Goalkeeper, all-timer, Canadian hammer, Craig Forrest. Yeah, Craig Forrest. Yeah, remember that. What does work want? Do I use Brill cream? No, Anthony, I don't use Brill cream.
Sorry about that, folks. Literally, it was one of the tow truck delivery drivers from across the road. They were like, "We're just gonna park in front of your drive. Is it all right for 10 minutes? If we do it, just drop a car off." I was like, "Yeah, no problem. Yeah, cool, fine. No, bugger off. I'm in the middle of the street." So yeah, sorry. The question about
So goalkeeper. Oh,
sorry about that, folks.
No, there's two that come to mind, but obviously the one that I kind of was, liked more than Kelson, that was Ludek McCloskey, because he was immense. Great kick on him, massive hands, and he was something different that we signed at the time. When you look at something like that, yeah, great. So I'll go with Ludek McCloskey in that respects. Yeah, I've seen that. I already said to him, respect to that point there. Danny, yeah, so yeah. For defender,
fuck. I ain't heard of him. Who's that? Oh, fuck. When did he play for West Ham? I didn't hear. Did anyone else ever heard of that guy?
He's actually played over 10 seasons for us, and that, So I think every West Ham fan said that at one point.
There you go. Moss Sports says Craig Forrest.
Yeah, Craig Forrest was a good one, but no, for me it's Ludek McCloskey. I mean, the second one for me would have been Phil Parks.
Anthony, get on your tractor, right, and put moonshine in it and zip off to the moon. Brill cream. The Brill cream, boys. Oh, gold. Craig Forrest is a personal friend. Is that so, Budgie? No. Actually, that's true. I need to he must know all the old school fellas as well. Actually, no, I think about it. Tony uses bowling ball wax. Why are you not being so bloody horrible to him? Like, leave him alone. What you do is keep on attacking the poor guy. So yes, wait, so your defender. I haven't forgotten about you. So what's your first your defender?
Like I said, I mean, Jesus.
Matthew Upson.
Matthew Upson, bloody hell.
Sorry.
There's a few that come to mind, obviously. You've got obviously Bonzi, you've got bloody Bobby Moore. But I suppose...
about the West Ham winning, out of all the West Ham World Cup winning squad? Because there must be, I would have thought some of them would have been like your heroes.
Of course, man. I mean, because this is another one I did as well to kind of just get, this is a great one when you look at it. Them boys. Yeah.
Just for the sake of conversation, please describe the three people behind you.
So if you got Jeff Hurst there.
On the left, yeah.
Yeah, Bobby Moore. And fuck me, my memory's back. I've got so much shit going on here. I thought his bloody name there. Martin Peters.
Some West Ham fan he is. No, I'm kidding.
Businessman. I just had the work phone going on again about things. But defender-wise, yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the other one I liked as well is Chelsea have bought him. Julian Dix. Don't get me wrong, Bobby Moore, definitely and up there. But yeah, Julian Dix. It was with him. It was that kind of old style player, bulldog approach, and wasn't afraid to get stuck in.
No, he wasn't.
I remember when we brought him back when he came back to West Ham after his stint at Liverpool, and when he had his knee injury, and I never forget he actually kind of came back and he played for one of the under 15 games. And the first thing the coaches said to him in there, "All right, Dick, so you're coming back in now. Remember, these are kids.
Yeah, don't break them in half.
Take it easy. Don't fucking go mad. Yeah, no problems at all on that." First challenge he did, this kid went 360 up in the air, splat on the deck, and all you could hear from the sidelines was the coaching team, "Dixie!" And he just looked over and then, "Sorry, boys, And
Well,
then
for
just
the poor lad that went 360 in the air, it was not John Boy.
yeah.
I thought Joe Cole was going to be massive too. Joe Cole was massive. He won 3 Premier Leagues, 3 FA Cups, 2 League Cups. What do you need to be massive? The only thing he didn't win with us, bless him, was the European Cup.
What's quite ironic about Joe Cole was the fact of, when we got relegated, I'll never forget, because it was him that kind of didn't put the challenge in for them to score the goal that kind of basically sent us down. But it was the fact of you signed 3 players from us.
Glenn Johnson, Lampard, and Joe Cole, no?
Well, the first one you just mentioned there, Glenn Johnson. So when we got relegated, the first thing out of Glenn Johnson's mouth is, "We've got to stick together to get back up again." And then it was someone like tapped him on the shoulder. Glenn. Yeah?
6 mil, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Glenn. Chelsea's asking about you. Are they? And then you could hear in the distance, "Taxi!" Yeah.
Well, it's not one of those. It's one of those ones where 1 minute he's sitting there preaching, we've got to stick to it, and the next minute, sometimes you've got to look after yourself, lads.
Exactly. And that's what it was. It was literally that.
I love the smell of Brill cream, says Rosie. Okay, thank you. He loves it, Wolfie. Well, we're talking about the Brill cream. Tony's head coach can be found in a golden can of Heinz babies. Denmark 1, Sweden 1. Thank you, Moskela. Bloody older traps. Things just accelerate. So what's your midfield? So you've got plenty of defenders. What's your midfielder? Forest that had to lose ball. Oh. I scouted Craig Daughters for Frimberg game in the group stages. Really?
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant.
Since we're doing the rounds, bloody hell, Fuzzy's taking the mickey. Evening, good.
Chris. Are we doing Chris Mate Football TV? Good guy as well.
Big up, Chris. How you doing, mate? Hope you're well. Giving people popping in to show some support and admiration. Well, big up to yourself, sir. Bobby Moore, England hero. Bobby Moore, best of all time, I would say.
Yeah.
Arguably. So
when you, as a defender or as a leader, as a captain kind of thing, he was your guy, wasn't it? You went through.
So who's your midfielder then?
Midfielder. Oh, jeez.
No, he never played for you guys. He plays for Arsenal.
So if you look at a midfielder and that, I mean, obviously we've had some great ones, again throughout the years, etc. But the one, and when you look at it, again, one of those players weren't making it where he was, comes to us, and then suddenly he becomes a superstar, and suddenly wants bigger things, and then moves on to them, and they've just been released by them, and he cried when he got released by him. And for me, we've had some great midfielders, but the one that stands out for just the free kicks alone is Dimitri Payet.
Oh, Dimitri Payet, yeah. Well, I'm not being funny, actually. On that vibe, I was just about to say, because I'm not going to... Wouldn't Carrick be a good shout?
Carrick was a good one. The other one for me also was Ian Bishop.
Mm-hmm. I remember Ian Bishop vaguely. That he was late 80s, wasn't he?
Ian Bishop was a great one. You can either go for Mad Dog Martin Allen.
Never watched him play, I'm afraid.
Again, one of those players that got stuck in. Old school.
West Ham did like that back in the day. A player that could tuck in and play. That's the one thing that was, because West Ham were known for that. They had good technical footballers, but they used to rough the crap out of you. And that's why everyone used to hate playing you guys. Because I'm not being funny. It was like you guys were like Stoke in a sense, but you were a little bit less bash and more play. Where Stoke was all bash and a little bit of play.
Yeah.
So that's your midfielder. Who's your striker?
Striker and that. For me, it's Frank McAvenny.
Fair enough. And why particularly him? Because you've had some great strikers.
The good thing, what I like about Frank, and it's how we signed him first of all. That was done on behind behind closed doors. It was behind the door of a little chef, where the deal was done. John Lyle sorted that one out, So yeah, but it's the fact of he had that smile on his face when he scored and stuff like that. So yeah, it's great. Yeah. So yeah, we've had some good strikers. We've had some donkeys as well. I mean, David Kelly, that poor fucker, he signed from us from Leicester. couldn't hit the barn door. But yet for Leicester, he was banging in goals for fun. Come to us, and yeah, he just couldn't do it. Yeah, just support the
Jobs even immigrants don't want that respect, as Mourinho once said. Respect, flee, 3 immigrants. No joking. Yeah. So like, I gotta ask this as a build off of this question. In what, it doesn't have to be based on success, just on combination of players. What is your favorite West Ham squad? And do it by season.
Favorite West Ham squad? Well, it's got to be with Di Canio and Lampard, Carrick, Cole, Johnson. You got to think
what
of
a
that
team you guys had back in the day, man. It's mad actually looking back on it. And I watched half of these guys play.
Most of them, went on to play for England. So that's what that's what we produced. That's what we, So that's got to be the favorite.
But which season? Which season for Di Canio? Because you only had him a couple, didn't you?
So what was it? 90? Oh, Jesus.
9? 8?
Yeah, something like that, wasn't it? Memory serves. If memory serves. But yeah, what a team. And that was a team, and to see it kind of get relegated was even the worst. I mean, this is obviously when Defoe came in at this point. So
that's 2002 when you guys got relegated, wasn't it?
Yeah. So when you look at that kind of stage,
was 18, isn't he? Because he was like you guys' version of Michael Owen, kind of. He was just the next great big thing, so to speak.
And the thing with him, I mean, like again, Defoe was another one. You could class him there as a striker because just natural raw born talent. But when he started kind of getting sent off and getting booked and stuff like this, everyone was kind of questioning why and that. Fortunately enough, in Faces nightclub, one of my players bumped into him and asked him, "What's going on with you?" And he just returned and said, "I don't like, I fucking hate Glenn Roeder. This is my way at the club."
Yeah, a lot of players hated Glenn Roeder, to be honest.
He literally was getting himself booked on purpose to get an exit out of the club, and it worked.
He wasn't a bad manager, was Glenn, but he was just kind of like too cool. He just somehow managed to just piss everybody off, no matter what he did. Because I remember that when who was the caretaker manager you guys had when he had his heart attack or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was. It was Trevor Brooking, wasn't it? It was. And I remember how happy everybody was. Not the fact that he got hurt, but the fact he just wasn't there at the time. So. Yeah.
Because obviously Trevor was doing, because Brooklyn was doing well. Everyone, let's make him manager. That would be a great shout and that. But Brooklyn said, I'm only doing this. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He won't destroy his legacy at the end of the day. Why should he? Why should he? So yeah, fair enough.
Fair dues. And last question from Rosie: who is your favourite footballing great early, and who would be your dream England manager, and why? Just on the England front, greatest manager England ever had, Brian Clough.
Yeah. Second behind that would be Harry Redknapp.
Well, I liked Harry. One thing I liked about Harry Redknapp, and this is one thing that's kind of underrated and you don't really see it anymore. Ian Arth used to stick by his players, Harry. He did. And even when you look at later on with the Crouchies and the Defoes, they all went with him to Portsmouth and whatever else. He was a very because I remember even a press conference when he was sitting next to a 16, 17-year-old Frank Lampard. And he was sitting there, it's just like, yeah, this boy is destined for great things. He's going to go right to the top. And everyone's looking at him like, you sure, Harry? He's like, yep. As much as the rain will come or the sun will shine, this guy's going to be something. And I must admit, I like that because it shows you got faith in the youngsters that you guys were bringing. So, you know what I mean? It's a big thing. Yeah, Rosie, what happened to your channel content? What did happen to your channel content? She might have made it private for a little while. I don't know. Maybe she's working on something. I have no idea. Rosie, what happened to your channel content? Inquiring minds would like to know. So, yeah. So Bobby, that was a good shout as well. I used to love Bobby Robson. He was a great manager back in the day as well. I don't know. So, who on your answer to that question, who would you have said? To the England manager one. I'll come back to the player in a minute. But
it would be a dream. Yeah, I think Cloughie would have been. Is the best shout because I think you knew what he would have brought to the table. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Ron Greenwood was good at what he did because obviously he changed the style of football at West Ham. But yeah, Cloughie in that because obviously it was more direct in that respects.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get more direct than Brian Clough. Young man, put the ball on the floor, son. That's what I pay you for.
Who's your footballing great? Well, it's the man just kind of above me here.
Well, why?
Probably more. Because he was a local lad. And
they all were, weren't they? Jeff, all of them were.
Yeah, all local lads. It was just the fact that when you look at something like that, just a down to earth person, someone you could relate to in that respects. No good as a manager. As a football manager, he was pants at that. But as a football player, it was the style of how he used to play. The grace and purpose he had. The fact that he could read a game. I mean, I've had you only see a couple of players that have that kind of vision. I had a young lad that joined us. He was only 17, but exceptional vision to receive the ball.
I'm going to come back to that, Fuzzy, because you're talking pants. You've got to be. No, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just read what Fuzzy put. It was just like,
I
what?
see that, yeah.
Gareth Southgate, number 1, followed by Roy Hodgson.
Roy
Hodgson. Sorry, in a close second. Nobody else comes even close. Pluto is closer to us than my third choice. Well, I'm glad we're doing measurements in terms of solar system. Okay, who was your least favourite West Ham player? Who was the one you hated most? Because I'm gonna ask a flip to that question. Because it's obviously the polar opposite of this question. So, who was your least favourite West Ham player?
Least favourite West Ham player in there. I think David Kelly is effective. We signed someone there, and we kept hold of him for quite a few seasons, and the bloke couldn't even hit the barn door. What's the point of keeping hold of a player that has no kind of purpose in that respect? You know what I mean? And the thing was then, like when we said about like Haller and Skamaka, the difference being back in them days, we kind of, it was the old kind of standard 4-4-2 formation. So there was no reason why he shouldn't be scoring goals.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that with Cotty and and Macavenia, that unison worked well together. But with Kelly,
he says, Metafootball says, offer some screen. We'll enjoy it on your behalf. Stay safe. You stay safe too. So
you enjoy that, Chris. You enjoy that screen.
So yeah, take it care, mate. You have a good one, and thank you for stopping by. Smash likes, everyone, in. Please. I'll put all the links for the people that I know in the chat near the end because we're getting close to it. Now, I'm going to ask you one last question, and then I'll round it off. But what is your ambition for West Ham? Now, tell me now. In the next year or two, we've had. What do you think the managers will do? Mm-hmm. Now, hypothetically, of course, what would you like to see from West Ham over the next couple of years? What would be the be-all and end-all for you?
I think if you look at it, I think what I'd like to see more of in Kelson there is a different leadership, different new owners.
Mm-hmm.
A manager can come in and play their formation and they will do, whatever way. And the thing is, when you look at even with Moyes, he has a kind of presidents, we're playing different kind of type of football. We are kind of winning, we won a cup, etc., and things like that. But the new manager, Lopetegui's got to come in now. Now he's got to raise the bar in what he's going to in style of football. But the one thing we're kind of lacking in certain respects, like with most teams would like to have, is an owner that can elevate the club further.
Yeah, splash a bit of cash.
Yeah, not just splash the cash. It's a case of, and it's one of those. Faubert was a class player as well. Yes, he was. Yeah. It's also it's the next legacy that the club can move forward to. The fact of because at the moment, obviously, we rent the London Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Can we kind of get an owner in that's going to get us to a different new stadium, something that's going to be purpose built for yourself rather than kind of like renting it.
Are you not happy with the London Stadium? Do you want to move out of it again and go to a proper ground, or is you just
and that's the key thing because the actual you've got to think the stadium is not exactly designed for football. We've made it like it. the fact that our current owners sold us a dream that we're going to move on to bigger and better things. We're going to compete with the elite. We're going to do this and the other. The seating will be like Upton Park. It'll be up right next to the pitch, and yet you're still sitting miles away from it. They've made some changes for the season just gone. So you do, there's one part of the stadium that sit a little bit closer, but again, false promises. People don't forget them kind of type of things. So
no. Ask Arsenal fans about moving into the Emirates. They'll give you a comprehensive analysis of when moving ground doesn't quite feel the same thing as what. And I'm not being funny. That's partly what Upton Park and Highbury had in common. You were very close to the pitch. You were like literally nose away from it, and it was question. Dean, that was a good striker as well, a baller if he didn't get injured. What do you think about Dino if he didn't get hurt?
He would have become a West Ham legend.
He was a goal scorer anyway. We all saw that before he got hurt.
Naturally gifted again. Another one that knew, and also not just the fact he could score goals. He had upper body strength.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of determination. He had that vision.
He was more of a technical version of Alan Smith. If you actually watch Alan Smith play as an English striker, where he was kind of like their target man, where he could use both feet and his head. He was kind of like that sort of technical level player.
He would have been an exceptional player, and that in that respects, would West Ham have been able to keep hold of him if he didn't get injured. The fact he got himself called up for England because of obviously what he was doing, that said it in itself. The fact that he got kind of injured by all accounts by a challenge with Ashley Cole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember.
Which ended his career.
Was it no? Because it was when he played for Arsenal. He smashed. Was it when he was playing for?
No, this is for England. This is when they're training for England. He got himself injured with that, and that was even finished.
Shame, man. That was a damn shame. Because to be honest, right? Okay, for anyone that doesn't know, he was like Andy Carroll, but he had just like 50 times more technique and ability, man. Because he was a big guy as well. He weren't no puppy, man. He was a very good technical player. He could use both feet.
It was a sad day for West Ham and West Ham.
Sad day for football, man.
Mm-hmm.
Sad day for football. Because it's like when Batistuta got injured, man. Like when he ripped his finger. It's just if you're a fan of football, like he was a good technical baller, man. It's a shame about because he would have been with you guys a long time as well.
He would have been. I think he would have also done well for England as well.
Enough, true, very true. But anyway, we're going to wrap this up. If you've got any more questions for Tony, please just quickly drop them in there. Because obviously Anthony's just done that. But I'd like to thank everyone that's been in and out of the stream, obviously. Hot Fuzzy, hope you're doing well, brother. Good to see you back on my channel, back in the chat. Hope you're well. Stu, who does a lot of work with Jess, Jess Talks Football. Right, yeah. Big up to Jess, to her, and big up to him. So please give them a like and a shout. They know me over there, so big up to them lot. Obviously, Budgie was here earlier of the Green Street Elite. Much love for that guy. Hope you're doing well, Budgie. I'll be in touch soon. EarlyDoors himself, of course, who was sitting beside me. Please like and subscribe to this gentleman if you have not. And the comical Scott, as I call her, is she's always up and down making content, sending me like all the Scottish squad like jokes and all that kind of thing. So big up to her as well. Please like and subscribe to them. They're all good people. They're all lovely. They're all down to earth. I'm still here. It wasn't on the basis that you weren't still here, Budgie. I was just picking up your channel. Okay, don't have a go. I know you're there. I know you're there. I put the Green Street Elite. Come on.
I like the comment from Moss as well. Didn't people mention Rio and Thomas Repka? Repka.
Yeah,
he was close to Hammer's fans' hearts. I mean, when he had to leave, he loved West Ham.
And we've been speaking about Rio Ferdinand for quite a bit of this stream.
Thomas Repka though, when he left and that, I mean, that when the send off we gave him and that, and the tears in that man's eyes and that, I mean, that was a great great time.
Hang on. I've got one quick question for all the West Ham fans, and that includes Budgie as well. Who, out of everyone in the squad you've got right now, is the most like West Ham like player? Because I think Souček's up there. Like he's like a real proper, almost like a proper way. Even though he's not English, he's kind of got the proper like West Ham. He can be a bit rough, he can be a bit nasty, but he can also go forward as well. So. I like Souček. I actually think he'd be a good signing for us because he can play midfield as well, can't he? And defense, right? Souček. So, but I think I like him. I think he's a good player because he scored for you guys the other day as well, didn't he? On the last day of the season, if I'm right.
What are the,
I can't remember. Yeah, was it ruled out? Oh damn! I need to go back and look. But for me, I like him. I think
the handball coming off the arm. Yeah.
Was he come off his arm? But he's a gritty player though because he can get stuck in, and that's what I like about him. I'm watching through red eyes though. I wonder what you've been doing, Budgie. You've been being are you drinking or smoking the cough medicine? That's all I'm going to ask you.
The medicinal sticks. That's the
medicinal sticks. Okay, fair enough. Tony Gale is a defense.
Tony Gale. I mean that man. I mean, this just shows you what pro players go through because when you look at it, if you try to extend your foot down, and you strike a ball, he could go beyond that. That's how much pro players use it over the years. His foot virtually doubled back on itself. We overstretched the ligaments.
Ouch. Oof. Kudos will be if stays. Mexican Edison Alvarez is a stud too, like Souček.
Alvarez. You can class him as a typical old West Ham player. Edison Alvarez.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. There are arguments for a few, but there's no better example right there than Bowen right now.
Yeah, because
fair enough.
It'll be like a Trevor Brooking. He'll stay there till the end.
Mm-hmm. And Moss Sports says true, Budgie. My 4 players are what? Bowen and who else? You got me dangling on a string here, Budge. You said my 4 players, and then you never answered. Like put the 4. So is that Souček, Bowen, and someone else, or?
Could be Kudos, it's Alvarez, Souček, and
yeah, true. Fair enough. Bowen to Arsenal.
Yeah, he keeps on dreaming that one.
I'm not being funny, but you wait. Bowen plays off the right into a centre, right? So isn't that what Saka does for you guys?
Who?
Bowen, because doesn't he play as a right winger?
The other player they mentioned. Who?
What? Yeah. All right, fair enough. Yeah. I just spoke to Danny Hairdryer. Okay. if you say so. Anyway, it's surprising actually as an Arsenal fan that you didn't say kudos to Arsenal.
He's done that earlier on.
Oh, did he? All right then. Fair enough. You just keep on with your wish list, Anthony, on your tractor until you catch up with everybody else in the 20th century. But look, everyone, we're coming up 2 hours, and I know Tony's just come back from work. God bless him for that. I don't want to keep the man too long because obviously it's coming in the evening and he's got another show to go to, so he needs his chill time. They in goal, Moran defense, Peters midfield, and Ashton up front. So you're talking about Dino. Okay. Thank you, Budgie. Palmer to Arsenal. Yeah, I haven't heard that one before. No. We gave you Kai Havertz, we gave you Jorginho, and in a long way around, we gave you Declan Rice. You don't need any more.
William.
Besides, William. No, I'm talking about good players.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Well, no, they were good players. They just did crap for us. Because I always say that to the Arsenal fans that banter me about us being shit, and I was just like, yeah, if you win any Premier League this year, you have to thank us. Oh yeah, why is that? Because you got Kai Havertz, Jorginho, and Declan Rice in a long way around from us. So, and West Ham, of course, because we had him before West Ham. So, Gallas was a good player, but you lot broke him. You lot broke him on the pitch. I've never seen a French international sit and cry on the pitch like William Gallas. What game was it when you guys lost? And he just sat on the pitch sobbing. It's like, don't get me wrong, I was actually quite pissed off when we traded Gallas for Ashley Cole. Because Gallas, even though he wasn't a left back, him and Terry as a centre-back partnership, they were the centre-back partnership that stuck even after Abramovich came. So we were actually, I was actually quite pissed off when Gallas got exchanged. But after the Champions League final, I didn't say a word. So, but Tony, thank you so much for your time. Please like and subscribe to this guy. He's a total gen. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Anelka the other way. Whoa. That was another baller that we had that we kept from Arsenal that we got more out of him than what they did. Because that guy stuck around. It's a shame he didn't win the Champions League with us, actually, Anelka. Because he had that great season with us in 2010 under Carlo Ancelotti. But, some players' stars rise, some players' stars fall, man. That's just football for you. But everyone, thank you to Budgie, Anthony, Rosie, everyone that's been in the chat. Big up to yourselves. Stay safe. And we are out of here, people. Keep it real. Keep it Chelsea.